The AFC playoff race is tightening. Who are the Patriots' biggest obstacles? The World Cup draws this Friday night. Who do we want to see here in Boston? And are the Celtics starting to finally figure it out? The Boston Globe Sports Report starts right now. Welcome to the Boston Globe Sports Report. I am Ben Volin. We're going to have former Bruins goalie Tim Thomas joining the show later today. We're going to have Danielle Dubois by to give her hot takes from the fans as usual. And my co-host today is Globe Sports columnist Tara Sullivan. Tara, welcome to the show. Let's kick it right off here. After further review, the Patriots are playing Monday Night Football against the Giants. So that gave us an opportunity to sit back on our couch on Sunday and watch the Week 13 action from start to finish, Tara. I got to ask you, what was your biggest takeaway after watching the action on Sunday?
Watch out for those Broncos, huh? I think that, you watch them and individually maybe things don't blow you away, but boy, they just know how to win. They just know how to win. They have no fear. They don't get panicked. They come back in games. So I think that the Broncos have emerged almost like those glory days, We used to have Brady and Manning. Maybe it's going to be Knicks and May for years to come. I think they're legit.
Yeah, gotta love it. Patriots-Broncos is a great rivalry. The Broncos having won 9 in a row, Tara. They have just as much magic as the Patriots do right now. Their defense is fantastic. So that was a really important win for them on Sunday Night Football against the Commanders. They actually temporarily leaped ahead of the Patriots for the number 1 seed because of some tiebreakers. So huge win for the Broncos. My takeaway is that AFC playoff race, as I said at the top, really tightening. Everyone won yesterday. The Chargers, the Jaguars won. They're up to the number 3 seed now. The Buffalo Bills keep winning. And that really was my biggest takeaway, Tara, is that the Bills win over Pittsburgh. I think that really amps up the pressure on the Patriots now. As good as the season's been for the Patriots, they got to keep stacking those wins now. The Bills are 8-4. They're still in the hunt. And now with the Patriots having this bye week, it's possible in a couple weeks that the Bills come back here and have something to play for in the AFC East. So not always pretty with the Bills, but they looked like a bully on Sunday in Pittsburgh, running for 249 yards. I thought that was a nice, impressive win for them.
Absolutely. And there you go, right? I use the phrase they knew how to win. The Broncos are showing that they know how to win. Josh Allen, you just can never, ever, ever count that guy out. They have a lot of holes, right? But the Bills are legit. And definitely, like you said, there's a little bit of a door opening there that maybe a few weeks ago we weren't sure if that would be open.
No question. All right, so we've talked about the Broncos and the Bills. Tara, breaking down the AFC race now. Give me one other team that you're buying in that you actually believe in will be a tough out in the playoffs.
I don't think anybody wants to play those Houston Texans, do you? I don't think any quarterback wants to see those guys, that defense coming after them. I think, again, when you're looking at this stage of the season, sort of who has the mojo and who doesn't, who's peaking, maybe not all the way to the top, but just kind of gaining momentum week to week. And I think those Texans just feel like they have something good going. And the defense especially, like you said the same about Denver, but I think the Texans would be another AFC team that I would believe in.
Yeah, I mean, C.J. Stroud to me is a question mark, but the Texans with their number 1 defense right now, that is not a team that I would want to face in the postseason. I'm still keeping an eye on the Chiefs. I know their odds are kind of low right now. I think they're 9th in the conference, but it's still Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid, Steve Spagnuolo, Travis Kelce. I'm not willing to give up on the Chiefs quite yet. They probably have to run the table. At worst can go 4-1, but they've got some winnable games in there. They still get to play the Raiders and some other bad teams. So I still have my eye on the Chiefs. On the other token, Tara, give me one team that you're not quite buying that's in the playoff race.
Yeah, I think Indianapolis's luck might be waning at this point. Indiana Jones, he's playing on that a break in his leg, one of the leg bones, and so that limits his athleticism and the moving around side to side and the runs that have been such a big part of his arsenal personally as a quarterback. So they just, and then Sauce Gardner, I think, left the game on Sunday, and we don't know what that status is. So, if you're struggling at quarterback and cornerback, both of those will kill you when you want to win games. So Indy, I just feel like their sort of magic dust is fleeting a little bit now.
No question. For me, it's probably the Ravens. I know they're 6-6 and leading the AFC North, but not liking where the Ravens were at on Thanksgiving, and I'm not quite buying them. Okay, moving on to this week's hot take. Actually, a collection of hot takes from Week 13. Here we go. The Steelers look cooked at 6-6, and the Mike Tomlin era looks like it's done after 19 years. Caleb Williams still isn't that good, but you can't deny the Bears have some magic this year with new coach Ben Johnson. The Colts don't have an easy game the rest of the way and could go from 7-1 to out of the playoffs. The Rams lost in the snow in Philadelphia last year, and they look soft again Sunday in the rain in Carolina. They need the #1 seed. Watch out for Joe Burrow and the Bengals. The Eagles have more dysfunction than a soap opera and might get caught from behind by the Cowboys. How about those Cowboys? They were the butt of the joke all year, but now they're on fire. And the Raiders are a disaster, and everyone's pointing fingers. Tom Brady has a huge mess to clean up this offseason. Okay, coming up next, we have an interview with former Bruins goalie Tim Thomas. Welcome back to the show, and now we head to the interview, and we have a great guest for you this week. You might remember him as a Bruins goalie and a Stanley Cup champion. The great Tim Thomas joins us. Tim, thanks so much for joining the show. One reason we're having you on this week is you were recently honored by the Tradition at TD Garden. You're this year's Bruins honoree among the many honorees this year. What does it mean to you to get honored by the Tradition?
I mean, it's I'm blanking on the words, but I mean, it's great. I'm happy to be a part of this and be appreciated.
Well, I think it's very fitting of your place in modern Boston sports lore. We wouldn't have that extra cup here in Boston without your heroics in net, Tim. I'm just curious, you've been gone from the game now, retired for over a decade. How often are you back in Boston? And what's the first place you go to when you do come back?
I come back in town 4 or 5 times a winter during the hockey season, the last few years. And maybe actually a little bit more than that, but I go to 4 or 5 games. And, when I come back into town, I like to go to the North End. We eat a lot at Pat Lucas, one of my favorite places. And also Tretka's on that list. And, and then there's the Boston Legacy Club that's right across the street from the rink. And so that's what I do when I come to town.
Very good. I mean, you can never go wrong with the North End. Just stumble around and find a great restaurant there. Your former teammate, Marco Sturm, has the Bruins off to a tremendous start. You played with him. You know him pretty well, I would think. What kind of coach do you think he is for these young guys here on the Bruins?
I haven't watched him a lot. From what I have seen him on TV, he's instilling a positiveness into the guys, but also with responsibility, and that's what I picked up from the small sample pool that I've listened to. And but I mean, playing with him, if I really think about it, I would have never thought of him being a coach back then. He was a player. Never crossed my mind. So to see what he's done since he stopped playing in the coaching field, it's pretty cool.
Yeah,
I saw him about a week ago. I did an event for the Bruins, and I saw him there and got to meet quite a few of the new players this year too. So
that's tremendous. Now, Tim, I wanted to ask you about the Olympics. I believe the Olympics are coming back this winter, for the first time since 2014. You played on the 2010 Olympic team, I believe won a silver medal. It really messes up the NHL schedule. You have to condense the schedule. You have extra hotel nights when you go play in the Olympics. There's extra games that you're playing. Is all that worth it to play in the Olympics?
Yeah. Especially depending on where it's at, too. If you're going to South Korea to play, that takes a lot more out of you. The Olympics that I played in was in Vancouver, so it wasn't too heavy of a travel. And the Olympics is just different. It's it's a competition that's been set up between nations. At its purest form, it's competing without going to war between other nations, and so I think it's a good thing.
All right, Tim, I want to end the interview here with 3 quick questions, going deeper inside Tim Thomas. I'm just curious, what are you watching or streaming on TV right now? What's the last thing that you watched?
I don't watch TV very I didn't watch very much TV my whole life, really. I'm trying to think. Gold Rush. Yeah, it's a new season that's just come out, and I started to watch the first episode last week.
Nice, very nice. Okay, I believe in your post-playing days, you've split your time living in Idaho or Vermont. Pick one now, Idaho or Vermont to live in.
Well, actually, I lived in Colorado, Florida, Arizona, Idaho, and now Vermont.
So all of them.
I mean, all the places I lived were beautiful places. Colorado the altitude was too high for me. Arizona and Florida, the heat was too much for me. So I'm gonna go with Vermont. I fit the climate with that.
And last one, I believe you started your hockey career playing in Finland. What was the coolest thing about living in Finland?
There was a lot to it. I mean, my best friend in high school was a Finnish foreign exchange student. So then when I went to play in Finland, I got to meet his whole group of friends from his small town that he grew up in Finland. And so I played better parts of 4 seasons in Finland. And it's like I had another family over there.
Well, that's tremendous. Tim Thomas, thank you so much for joining us today. Congratulations on the honor at the tradition. Okay, coming up next, more Boston Globe Sports Report right after this. Welcome back to the show. And Tara, now it's time for You Might Be Right. And let's talk a little Monday Night Football here, Patriots-Giants. And kind of crazy to say, Tara, but, with the Bills winning on Sunday and improving to 8-4, this game for the Patriots on Monday is a must-win game. If they want to win the AFC East, if they want to keep a little distance between themselves and the Bills, they have to beat an inferior Giants team in Foxborough, especially because in 2 weeks, the Bills could be coming up to Gillette Stadium with the AFC East on the line. So to me, this is a must-win game on Monday Night Football.
I don't know that I could put must win on anything the Patriots are doing this year. When you think about where the season started and what the expectations were, I think the notion of a must win hits me a little funny. Like, I just think that it's all kind of sprinkles and gravy this year. I hear what you're saying, because what an opportunity, right? You put some distance, you have the chance, and I'm sure all the locker room and Mike Vrabel are going to agree with you in the sense that don't let this one get away. But I feel like must win is be a great win, be a good win, but I'm not ready to say it's a must win.
So I think you bring up an interesting discussion here, because the expectations were so low for the Patriots going into the season. No one expected them to be 10-2. Even if they lose every game from here on out, 10-7, losing the wild card, I think you'd still say it's a mostly successful season, though you wouldn't love the way that it ended, obviously. But you know what? At the same time, Tara, so no one should be angry if the season doesn't go, as far as you want it to. If they don't get to the conference championship game, you shouldn't be upset realistically with the Patriots. And it is all sprinkles and gravy. But this is a golden opportunity now. You have, even though it is year one under Vrabel, there's no guarantee that you're going to be this good, competing for the number 1 seed, having a path to the Super Bowl. Look at the Washington Commanders. It looked like they were going to be riding high for years last year. Rookie quarterback, NFC Championship game. Now they're practically already eliminated from the playoffs going into December. So, no, you shouldn't be upset at the Patriots if they lose, but they've got a great opportunity now, and they've got to take advantage of it.
Well, I hear you, and certainly when you look at it that way, that makes sense. But when the Patriots come back from the bye, they still can beat the Bills. They beat them already. So for me, I feel like terming something must win just feels a little bit premature. But the window is wide open. You're right. The schedule lined up this year, right? They didn't have one of the easiest schedules. They had one of the easiest schedules in the NFL. And it's a little reminiscent, right? People around here remember 2001. You get on a hot streak, you got a good young quarterback, you get a path to the Super Bowl, and sure, you should have those dreams. But I'm with you. It's a good season regardless of what happens from here. But yeah, there is opportunity there. It just feels like must is such sort of an overused thing in sports. I don't think it's must. I think it would be great.
Well, I'll give you one other reason why it's a must win.
Yeah.
They've got a bye next week, Tara, and you do not want to go into the bye coming off a loss to the stinky Giants.
Yeah.
2-10
But they
Giants.
get healthy. Like, they got to bye. They're going to say, oh, lick our wounds. We're going to get, guys are going to rest up and we'll be okay and we'll be geared up, for the Bills coming out of the bye. I think there's two sides. Yeah, completely. We're both sidesing it, but I think both are fair.
Yeah, you don't want 2 weeks to chew on that bad loss, and then it just puts so much pressure on that game with the Bills. Assuming they win and the Bills do what they need to do, just put so much pressure on that game in 2 weeks against Bills-Patriots. All right, moving on now to the slam dunk, and we go to the parquet, where it's becoming a slam dunk that we were too quick to write off the Celtics with Jason Tatum out for the year. Saturday's loss to the Timberwolves was frustrating, but I think you have to be pretty impressed with the win Sunday night in Cleveland, where they withstood a late rally to hold off a good Cavs team on the second night of a back-to-back. Peyton Pritchard shook off a bad game to score 42 points, and Jaylen Brown notched a triple-double as the Celtics actually looked like a team figuring out how to win and learning their new roles. So I think maybe we're a little too quick to write off the Celtics. Maybe these guys are figuring out who's going to be the alpha and how they need to win each night. All right, Tara, let's move now to breaking it down. The World Cup draw is going to be this Friday night down in Washington, D.C. You wrote recently about the U.S. men's national team. They sacked their manager a year ago. How's it going give us an update for people who don't follow it so closely. What's like the state of the U.S. national team right now?
A whole lot better than it was not even a couple of months ago. So going back to even June, the end of the Copa America, it looked like, oh my gosh, these guys, as our great Chris Gasper wrote, they are not ready for their LA primetime moment for the World Cup opener. But since then, they have really found some form and hit a stride. They're riding an unbeaten streak of 5 games. All 5 of those teams, including Uruguay that they manhandled at the end 5-1, are in the World Cup field. Young players are emerging. Balogun as a striker is scoring goals. Matt Freese, Harvard's own, looks solid in goal at keeper. And the team just looks more together. Mauricio Pochettino is the new coach. They spent a lot of money on him, came over from the EPL, and reminds me a little bit of Mike Vrabel. He's sort of resetting that foundation, making guys compete for roles, bringing in new talent. Remember Vrabel getting rid of all the captain voices, right? It has a little bit of that feel. So, of course, when it comes to the World Cup, Christian Pulisic's going to be out there. But right now, I feel like he's getting a lot more youth and depth to get into, before we get to the draw in the World Cup.
Would Pulisic be the Drake May of the U.S. national team?
He is indeed. Christian Pulisic. I don't know. What's the equivalent of Drake May? Yes, he'll be there. He'll be out there. And he's, listen, I think he's going to go down as the greatest U.S. player ever. But I think it's good to see that other young guys can have an impact. The Gio Reynas, the Balogun that we mentioned, these younger guys are going to put some pressure on who the stars are going to be. Okay, very good, Tara. All right, coming up next, we're going to come back with Danielle Dubois for some of your fan takes. Welcome back to the show. And Tara, now it's time for our segment, Wicked Loud, where we bring in Danielle Dubois. Danielle, you were out recently talking to the fans, as always, getting some hot takes. What do you got for us this week?
That's right. Lots to say from Bostonian fans. So we're going to start off with a group of Patriots fans with a hot take on Jaylen Brown.
Jaylen Brown as a number 1 is better than Jason Tatum.
Yeah.
Tara, what do you think? I mean, this is the season where Jaylen Brown can really prove himself.
Well, I mean, I love Jaylen Brown. I think he's fantastic, and he certainly edged out Tatum for an MVP award in the finals. But if I'm starting my team tomorrow, I'm still taking Jason Tatum first.
Yeah, I think this was kind of definitively settled in the postseason this year and in previous years that Jaylen Brown just isn't quite the guy to carry a franchise like Jason Tatum isn't. You know what? I think maybe Tatum needs a guy like Jaylen Brown as well. But, yeah, I'm still putting Jason Tatum as the alpha on the team here.
Completely agree. 2 wonderful players, though. I mean, you got to love the Jays. Moving next over to Noah with some high Celtics hopes.
I have a Celtics hot take. We're going to be top 4 in the NBA. We're going to make the Eastern Conference Finals.
Ben, top 4 in the NBA, making the Eastern Conference Finals for this Celtics team, is it achievable?
It's possible. The Eastern Conference is down a little bit. At the same time, I'm not quite seeing it. The Celtics having a nice stretch here. I think they're 7-3 in their last 10 games. They've become ascended to the number 8 seed, but I think eventually they're going to run out of gas. I'm not quite sure they're going to make it 2 whole postseason runs deep into the playoffs.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Tara, I mean, what do you think?
I'm with you, Ben. I don't know if we agree on everything, but this one, I think there's too many other teams ahead that are salivating over the idea of moving up the Eastern Conference without Jason Tatum in the playoff field.
That was a good win over the Pistons, though, recently.
It was,
The Pistons are playing well, so.
Playoffs are just different, and they just don't have enough stars to go that far in the playoffs. You need 3 guys, at least 3 big-time guys in the NBA.
Completely agree. Now moving over to Saved You a Click. Starting off strong, New York Rangers coach Mike Sullivan, who is a Massachusetts native, had his Thanksgiving dinner from Kowloon, also a Massachusetts staple, but wow, what an unexpected Thanksgiving dinner.
All I can say is yum. Hope he got some of the Saugus wings. Outstanding. Kowloon, I went there for my birthday last year. Was my first trip. Worth every minute of it. So Mike Sullivan keeping his New England roots and knowing exactly where to go for to celebrate a holiday.
I will not pretend to understand this conversation as a New Jersey native, so I will just say good job by you.
Just drive north on Route 1, Tara.
You got it.
Drive
Exactly.
north on Route 1 and you'll get it.
This last Saved You a Click comes from a new plane activity. Now, if you guys have a flight coming up and you find yourself bored, do like this hockey fan and start listing as many NHL players as possible in a 1.5 hour flight. I mean, Tara, would you find yourself doing this next time you have to commute for a Patriots game?
Well, as a kid who used to draw grew up a Yankee fan and draw the NY symbol and fill it in with the current roster on the cover of every book I had in school, I probably would do something like this. But my vote, I'd love to get Dan Shaughnessy sitting next to me on a plane and name baseball players he's covered through the years.
Yeah, Bob Ryan, too. These guys
yes,
are like
great
savants.
call.
Unbelievable. Yeah, no, it's my favorite activity is just remembering old sports guys. I could do this with early 90s athletes. Maybe we just found our next challenge for the next show, Danielle. All right, Danielle, thank you very much. Let's end the show here with our Hail Marys. Tara, you go first.
My Hail Mary is Mike Tomlin. We mentioned him earlier. He's going to be on the sidelines coaching the Giants next season.
Oh, not the Steelers. Very good. My Hail Mary is that the Raiders are going to have a new coach next year as well. Not going to be Pete Carroll, who's going to be one and done. It's going to be a familiar name. John Gruden is going to be back as the coach of the Raiders next year. Okay, thank you very much. Tara Sullivan, Danielle Dubois, Tim Thomas. I'm Ben Volin. Thanks for watching Boston Globe Sports Report. We'll catch you guys next time.